If the word sales makes you cringe, you're losing clients to the attorney who isn't afraid to ask for the business.
Welcome to the Lawyer Millionaire podcast, the show where law firm owners learn to build wealth, scale their firms, and design the life of freedom they deserve. Hosted by Darren Wurz, business and wealth advisor for law firm owners and author of The Lawyer Millionaire, this podcast delivers the strategies and inspiration you need to break free from the grind and become the financial success you envision. Let's dive in.
All right, welcome back to the Lawyer Millionaire. I am your host, Darren Wurz, and I'm very excited to be joined today by Amy Parvaneh of Select Advisors Institute. Amy, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Darren, for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. I really enjoyed working with you as my sales coach, learned so much from you in the time that we spent together. So I'm excited to hear your insights for lawyers and law firm owners because, they're also in professional services firms. And so they have the job of selling their services. And a lot of us are, professional services are not always comfortable with that. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. We don't even know what we're selling because, first of all, it's not a product. It's so much easier to sell a product. You could touch it, you could feel it, but a service, it's intangible, especially when it comes to legal, tax, and financial industries, which are the three industries we focus on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Amy, tell us a little bit about your background because you have such a fascinating background. I'd love you to share that with our audience so they can learn a little bit about you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started my career over 20 years ago. I started in investment banking at Citigroup. The first week I started was actually the week of September 11th. So a very, very tumultuous start to my career. I was in investment banking for about a year in a very rocky environment, politically, economically. And then from there, I grinded it out to find a new job. And I went into equity research at Bear Stearns, a company that no longer exists because that one went bankrupt. So a lot of ups and downs at the beginning of my career. But then from there, I went to business school. I went to Duke University in North Carolina. And I really fell in love with the whole world of ultra high net worth and high net worth individuals. And how can I get more involved in helping them, supporting them. And so from there, I did a lot of my research and I got a job at Goldman Sachs in their headquarters to be in private wealth management. I'd never grown up with a single wealthy friend. My parents never had wealth as I was growing up. We really, were hustling at a very early age, just trying to make a buck, and so finding people who had $1 million, let alone 20 million, which was Goldman's minimum, was just like, just unheard of for me and my
Yeah.
family. They're like, what are you, when are you going to quit this? This is not something you're going to survive in. And I think that mindset really helped me come up with my own methods, come up with my own solutions of how am I going to get in front of these individuals, people who had the red carpet rolled out for them. And keep in mind, this was in New York City, the most overbanked city in the world. So we had JP Morgan, we had Goldman, we had Merrill Lynch, all of their headquarters were right there in New York. So how would I be able to differentiate myself in such a very, very crowded market? And so I figured it out on my own. And I always feel like in sales, you're going to figure it out. When there's a will, there is a way, right? And you really have to kind of customize what works for you and what feels natural. So as the firm was telling me, this is how you pitch Goldman, this is how you pitch wealth management, I was like, that sounds great, but I can't say it with a straight face. That script just does not resonate with me.
Yeah.
And so I started practicing with friends, with family, with people I knew, where there was a lower, bar, and I could experiment with different messaging. And so I actually started becoming extremely successful, being able to build the trust of these ultra high net worth individuals and bringing in a client base, which collectively had altogether about $1 billion in net worth.
Yeah.
Um, And then everyone was going around asking me, how did you do it? And so that became kind of like a way that I enjoyed sharing my methods.
100%. In working with lawyers and law firm owners, one of the things we challenge them to think about is working with a higher end clientele. It can be less stressful in many ways, especially if you're a smaller firm. You don't have the processes and systems to run like a factory model where low value matters come in and go out very quickly. So one of the best ways you can maximize your profitability and your margin is to appeal to a higher level client. I'm curious, what did you learn about selling to those types of clients that you didn't learn in your MBA course?
Yeah, I mean, look, in your MBA, you really, in my experience, it was just to go get the license, get the degree, and really build an alumni network. So I didn't learn any of these sales skills, messaging, marketing methods at business school. And that was an amazing business school, right? Because the real world, it's all about different personalities, different traits, and how you could really, like I mentioned, the most important word, build trust with these people. I think one of the best lessons someone taught me when I first started in working with wealth management was, look, they put their pants on the same way as a regular person. Don't think of ultra high net worth individuals as this like huge beast. The other thing they taught me at the very beginning, which was really helpful, is don't be worried about looking like a hustler or looking like a salesperson in front of them, because if they are ultra high net worth, most likely they also built a business. They also grinded it out. And so they know hustler mindset when they see it, and they love that. And so when they would be emailing me at 11 p.m., I would be replying at 11:30, right? And I see that missing in a lot of people who want to pursue that, but they're not willing to actually, go the extra mile to work with such people.
Wow, wow. Yes, you really got to go the extra mile. And I love that they probably have done the hustle themselves, so they respect it. They see it and they respect it.
They
That's
respect it.
cool.
They love that.
Yeah.
And to this day, I still, even when I'm working with a CEO or when I'm looking to, win in a competitive situation, they see me talking to them, and then the next hour they're getting the proposal, and they love that. And I feel like that's a
Yeah.
huge way that you could just win in sales and in business. Even
Speed.
myself,
Yeah.
when I was looking for attorneys in various situations, that the attorneys who returned my calls right away, even on the weekend, got my business. And then some of them would reply back in like 5 days, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I already found
Oh,
someone.
yeah. Yeah, the average time it takes an attorney to respond to an online form is 42 hours.
Oh my gosh,
By
yeah.
42 hours, I've moved on. I've gone somewhere else. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's
Especially with
huge.
attorneys, you're in a rush. You want to get someone to be your partner. You don't know, how to even talk their talk. So I've had my own share of experiences finding attorneys, and I've been blessed finding amazing ones, all from online leads. Like I never go to friends or family for recommendations, and just I'm kind of looking at what's their style. Are we going to get along? And because I'm a hustler, I love when they're a hustler.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love that.
Very cool. A lot of attorneys think that rainmaking is kind of a personality that you're born with. You either have it or you don't have it. I kind of thought this way myself for a long time. So I kind of know that it's not necessarily true. I'd love to hear your perspective.
Yeah. No, I am the exact opposite. I feel like rainmaking is something you do when you have to. It's like a survival mechanism, right? And I call it the cup and noodles mindset. You actually never want to stop that, even when you're doing 5 million in revenue
Yeah.
business. If it was, all about the hunger, then why are some of the biggest billionaires continuing to build businesses? It's because it's just a mindset shift. It's, I have to do this. I have to grow this. It feels fun after a while. And no, you're not born with it, right? My own parents, my dad is a mechanic, former engineer. My mom was in the legal industry herself, but then went over to really have to take odd end jobs when we moved to the US. So myself, I always feel like I've had to learn it on my own. And to this day, when I coach advisors, lawyers, CPAs, one of the main things I do is I don't tell them, here's how you do it. I work with their personality and their skills and their goals to help them come up with their own sales process.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. You know, sometimes lawyers and professionals feel like selling is a little bit beneath them, makes them feel sleazy, perhaps. How do we get past that? I mean, even though we know people may respect the hustle, is there a way to do sales in a way that doesn't feel so salesy?
Yeah. And I've seen sales in different ways. You know, even my own service providers are not salesy, but they've got some great traits that others don't. Part of it is just thinking about the person after you've had a conversation with them and remembering a few things about them. That's not sleazy. How is that sleazy? It's actually hugely empathetic, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
This lady that I hired to be my financial advisor, and as you know, I work with hundreds of financial advisors. How did she win my business? She would always remember if I would say something, and like if I bought a stock on my own or things like that, remembering names, little things that I told her. And I was like, wow, I she's thinking about me even though I'm not her client, and she really doesn't even want my business because, you know, we're in a different type of work relationship. So I think part of sales is not about being sleazy. It's about being highly empathetic, but not empathetic in a way that you're so afraid of doing the logistical parts right. For example, returning calls in the right way, writing the emails in a visually appealing way, being able to tell your message in a succinct and very powerful way, body language. How are those sleazy, right? None of those are sleazy. It's just about being yourself but following some basics around business development.
Yeah, and all of that goes to developing trust with the client. You know,
Yeah.
and finance is such a high trust profession, and law is the same way. I mean, if you are, facing a criminal proceeding, you want a lawyer who you can trust. Who you're trusting them with your life. You know what I mean? Divorce, you're going through a divorce, you need a lawyer. You want someone you can really trust because this is a life altering, life changing matter that you're going through. What are some other ways that we can build that trust with potential clients?
Yeah, absolutely. And I say this again as someone who's gone through this myself with finding various attorneys, working with various attorneys, coaching and training a lot of different professionals. There are just some basics. For starters, one of the things I see a lot of attorneys do is they have someone doing the screening calls, and I understand that that's an important thing. You don't want to be taking various calls, but if you've done your own due diligence and someone seems legit, do the call yourself, right? Maybe take that call yourself sometimes, to just close the business faster. That's one of the examples that I noticed. The other thing is, like, show them a lot of value right in the beginning, right? Don't be so greedy with the information. I understand you also don't want to give it away. And I've spoken with you, Darren, too. Like, don't give all your brain away, right? Your brain trust away, but give them enough to really differentiate your expertise. Turnaround time, I'm huge on that. We talked about it. And then this is a huge one too, Darren. This, I think, legal professionals and accounting professionals, it's very similar to medical professionals, right? A lot of times they're so worried about being sued or saying the wrong thing that, in fact, it comes across as negative. And that's literally the exact opposite of what sales should be. You want to lead with positivity, with enthusiasm, and with excitement. So think of it like when you go to a doctor. he's trying to hedge himself to not get, into trouble. But at a certain point, if all you say is, well, I don't know, you may get sick or you may not get sick. I don't know, you don't look good. Something is problematic. If everything out of your mouth is an issue, problematic, worrisome, you may actually be scaring people off. And they're like, wow, this person he's already thinking I'm going to fail in this case, right? So you want to really balance this dance between telling the person what's a fact, like legally, but also don't scare them so far away that they will go to another person, another
Yeah.
attorney.
Makes a lot of sense. Along those lines, what are some of the biggest mistakes that lawyers and advisors make in the sales process that destroy that credibility and push clients away?
Yes. So one of them I mentioned is huge for me, negative versus positive tone and talk, right?
Mhm.
It's very important to not just scare people with your tone, not even language. I haven't even got into that, but your tone, right? There's a difference between you, Darren, calling me if I'm a financial advisor and I'm like, wow, you're in major trouble. You didn't start saving before. Wow, retire. Oh my gosh, we've got so much work. Oh, wow, you're kind of behind on things you need to do. What's going on in your brain at that point, Darren?
Let's just not even do it. Let's throw in the towel. Why even bother?
Exactly. I'm screwed. This is a problem. I can't
Yeah.
do this. Versus like, you're doing a great job calling us now, Darren. We're going to be able to pick things up, get things improved, and help you get on the right track. I basically said the same thing, but I said it in a positive, encouraging, coaching tone versus a risk aware, very pessimistic, glasses half empty mindset. So that's a huge mistake. Another one is obviously your jargon, your industry language, too much legal talk, too much legalese language. Versus being a lot more, layman's terms, something an everyday person who's obviously calling you because they're in a dire situation and worrisome may be having. A third is just emails that may be too verbose, too long, too hard to understand. So, if you're doing that. Fourth is, I keep repeating this, the turnaround time. If the person said they're interested in working with you, you better have the proposal to them right away, right? And just like bedside manners, right? I spoke with an attorney years ago, and I started crying because I was in such a bad position, and he was just stone cold, like, just, okay, I've got one more minute. I understand you're on billing hours. I totally get that, but boy, that 1 minute, was it really that important for you to witnessed me crying and you just went back to your hourly billing, did not hire that person. And again, everyone is different, but when I'm in a bad situation, I want to be speaking with an attorney that feels me, that, understands me, and again, has empathy. And those are all teachable.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned the bedside manner. Kind of reminds me of doctors a little bit.
Yes.
Like not all doctors have a good bedside manner. And if you find one that does, it makes that experience of going to the doctor so much more enjoyable and more productive.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. You mentioned the word trust before, and
Hmm.
everyone thinks trust is something you build over time. How are you supposed to build trust over time when someone's just
Yeah.
called you, right? But scientifically, trust has been proven to be 50%, the things we all know, like compassion, and I'm sorry, 50% being the things that, like, your credibility, your license. Yes, you've won X many cases. Yes,
Hmm.
you've been in the industry for 50, 40 years. Yes, those are half the part of the trust component, but the other 50% are actually a lot of things that you could work on, like your body language, presentation skills, communication skills.
Mm.
If I don't know what I'm talking about, or I do know what I'm talking about, but I talk too long, I've already lost someone's trust. Another part is vulnerability. I love it if I'm speaking with an attorney and they share their own experience too, right?
Yeah.
Maybe if you're in I'm just making this up, like a small like divorce situation, right? That one's obviously not small. But then you share like, yeah, me and my husband too have this problem sometimes, and I totally, see how that could have gone awry with what just sharing a little bit of your personal life, humanizing who you are, versus this like, just service based industry. It significantly enhances that trust.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Amy. Let's talk a little bit about what we charge for our services. And this is it's common for lawyers to undercharge for their services. They feel bad about charging too much, or even they're underbilling, right, for their time. They feel like that hour of time didn't really count, or that they're afraid of billing for what they really should. They want to make the client feel happier. How do you coach someone to hold their price and with confidence and really charge the full value of what they bring?
Yeah, I mean, I think pricing is just all about what you're bringing forth and how you showcase what you do, right? So it's funny because I recently posted about this. There is a barber in Beverly Hills who charges $250 for a men's haircut. $250. And he
Wow.
looks at the people who walk in, they're like, this is my price, right? And it builds that level of exclusivity. It builds that level of this is a membership, this is an experience. The haircut is the same, right? The haircut, you could get it at Sports Clips versus this $250 Beverly Hills area, but it kind of builds that like facade, and showcasing this package that this is going to be different than fly by night, just closing things in a wholesale way. So I think that's, first of all, it gives that level automatically on its own. But I want to make sure it's very clear that if you're charging that level, that high level, you better be delivering results as well, because it could quickly backfire that if you charge a high amount but then people aren't happy. Think of it like a hotel you go to. I just recently went to a hotel in the Bahamas, and it was pretty expensive. It was the Rosewood, actually, and the worst experience of my life, right?
Oh no.
So, yeah, so actually I learned the higher the hotel price, most of the time be careful, right? So I totally understand what you mean, that you have to stick to your guns, that the pricing should stay the same. So my recommendation is, if you believe you're an amazing attorney, that you could win cases and that you have enough credentials, then yes, you should really be looking up, straight into someone's face and giving your rate. But if you feel like this is going to backfire and you're not really sure if this is something that maybe it's gotten too high, be careful, because it could really offset a lot of your possible clients too.
Okay, great. Amy, what advice do you have? A lot of lawyers and law firm owners get their best clients through referral relationships.
Mhm.
Either a current client recommends somebody to you, or a center of influence. It's really the best form of advertising and marketing, because you don't have to pay anything, to get those, unless you're sharing referral fees. But what advice do you have for lawyers and law firm owners on developing a better referral engine?
Yeah. So this is something we even spoke with you, Darren, about. We speak with it about with all of our clients. Most of our clients say, if my clients wanted to refer, they know how to reach us. They know how to do it. They don't know anyone, or this has never happened before, that they have a friend that would need your services. And that might be true so there's been a lot of studies around referrals, and again, 50% of people are actually natural referrer types. Think of myself. I may be winning a badge from TripAdvisor, because if I go on a trip, I'm writing the reviews. I'm like that personality. I have an ambassador personality. If I love your service, Darren, you better believe I'm sending referrals to people, telling everyone you need to talk to Darren. He's amazing. He's got the number one podcast for law firm owners. It's just my personality, and it's also your personality. But the other 50% of people don't even think about the other person being a business. It just doesn't
Mm,
cross their mind. Sometimes because they're not entrepreneurial, sometimes
yeah.
because they don't know if you're too busy and may not be accepting new clients. Sometimes it may just be because you don't want any new clients. You're happy where you are. So you have to make a concerted effort to be pretty upfront with your clients that you do take referrals. Now that will be partly by verbal communication, right? If a client's so happy, or if the case is closing, this would be a great time to say, I'd really appreciate if you could write some Google reviews for us, or maybe just tell your friends about us. Or it could be while the case is actually happening and you want people to be notified about it.
Okay, great. Great. Amy, if a lawyer or law firm owner listening right now wants to become measurably better at bringing in clients over the next 90 days, what's like the biggest thing like that they should attack first? Number one, they should start doing this week.
Yeah, if they want to become better at sales in general, right? I would take a look at really, first of all, making sure that you understand what your personality is, right? And one way of understanding that is one with the DISC method. We really like the DISC personality method, which it stands for D is dominant, I is influencer, right? Most business owners, most law firm owners are probably between a D and an I, right? So they work really well with that personality. The S is the steady. Think of it like the housewife. Think of it someone like going through the out spouse in a divorce situation. And then there is the C, which is conscientious, and that's the engineer personality. So first know what your personality is, but then also see which personalities do you seem to work best with, and that those are kind of like no brainers. Like I love working with other D's and I's, like we just get along. Personalities I don't do too well with are the S's and the C's, the steady, slow decision making, or the engineer C personality. So first, be really upfront with like who you are and what works best for you, but
Yeah.
then learn the skills of how do you work best with those other personalities as well, right? Like how can I, because we can't just assume everyone calling us is going to be another D or an I, right? We want to understand like what gets in the way, what do I need to improve, what tone do I need with these different personalities. The other thing is just really work on your communication and presentation skills. You could do some improv. There's a lot of books out there on improv skills, which helps you with your listening skills and so forth. So, presentation skills is another one. And then the third one is do an audit of the whole, you know, lead journey, as they're calling you guys. Because a lot of times you may be a great attorney, you may be a great salesperson. We've got no problems here. But have you checked the sales skills of the receptionist who picks up the calls?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that person actually may be getting in the way of your sales process. Have
So
you checked?
important.
Yeah, have you checked the forms on your website to see if they actually work? Are you asking too many questions that scare people off? So there's a whole audit you could do first with yourself, with who you like working with, work on those presentation skills, and then work on the whole lead journey. Now, this is assuming you're getting leads.
Yeah.
The whole other question if you're not getting leads, and then that's something else to talk about too.
100%. Great advice, Amy. Thank you so much. And I have one last question for you, which we ask all of our guests. And that is there a book that you're reading right now that you're really enjoying you'd like to share with us? Or perhaps you would want to share a book that you've read in your journey that was really influential for you and transformative for you in growing your business.
Yeah. So the book that I love that I bought when I first became a financial advisor was a book called Story Selling for Financial Advisors. And the author is Scott West. And if anyone could go back that many years, I bought it at Borders bookstores, which you probably don't know, Darren, what that is. It's out of business. It was like the equivalent to Barnes and Nobles. And I bought it there, and it talks about how to story sell to different personalities. So it's actually not have anything to do with being a financial advisor. Attorneys could benefit from it too. And great news, Scott West is now actually part of my team. So
Oh,
after
wow.
he retired from his career, I called him and I was like, I loved your book. Can you please join Select Advisors, which is our company? And
Yeah.
now he's one of the coaches on our team, and he's done significant research on linguistics and communication skills. So
Very
we're
cool.
so proud to have him on our team. And yes, his book is still ongoing and a bestseller. And I think he's had multiple iterations of it too.
Wonderful. Well, we will make sure to link that in the show notes for everybody. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think that'd be a great one
Yeah.
for folks to check out. Well, that's all our questions for today, Amy. I want to thank you so much for joining us. And is there anything you'd like to share with our audience before we go?
Just the main thing is, I am a huge fan of AI, and I feel like that's become a significant way a lot of our clients have been found recently. I just got off the phone with one of our clients saying your AI optimization was like the biggest factor for this very, very ultra high net worth person to plug in all of his situation into ChatGPT, and our firm was recommended on that list. So for attorneys and law firm owners who are not doing AI optimization, I would strongly suggest take a look at how to get better at that, because you really could improve your visibility and getting new clients beyond referrals.
Yeah, we've had a few new clients recently who found us on ChatGPT, which is really exciting and unique.
Yeah, absolutely. So just food for thought for any law firm owners who want to find more leads.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Amy.
Thank you, Darren. Great to see you.
All right, a huge thank you to Amy Parvaneh, founder of Select Advisors Institute and a sales coach who spent her career helping legal, tax, and financial professionals sell with confidence instead of sleaze. You can find all the links to connect with her and learn more in today's show notes. And you know what? Amy was my sales coach. That's right. I worked with her directly, and she helped me become a far more confident, more trustworthy sales professional than I ever was. I never really thought I had the sales gene either, if you're an introvert like me. My dad is the epitome of an extrovert. He'll talk to anyone, and he's a great salesperson. But I never really felt like I had that skill until I learned it's not a gene after all. It's simply a skill that you can learn. And once you learn it, it dramatically changes your business. Because here's the thing, even the best business plan in the world doesn't work if you can't close the deals and make it happen. And here at the Lawyer Millionaire, sales is one piece of a much bigger machine that we help you build. We help you put together the actual business and financial plan that takes the profit you're generating from your sales skills and turns that into real wealth and real freedom. Selling with confidence gets the revenue in the door. What we do is make sure that revenue doesn't just sit there, but goes to work for you. If today's conversation hit home, come join us inside the Lawyer Millionaire community at community.lawyermillionaire.com. There's a ton of events and helpful resources like this waiting for you. And if you ever want to explore working with our team directly, book a call with me using the link in the show notes. Well, that's it for today, friend. And remember, if your law firm isn't building you wealth, how in the hell is it going to build you freedom? Can I get an amen up in here? Now, let the cash flow, and I'll see you next time.
Are you a law firm owner looking to build real wealth and break free from the daily grind? On the Lawyer Millionaire podcast, we share practical strategies to grow your practice, maximize profits, and create the financial freedom you deserve. Join host Darren Wurz as he interviews top experts and successful law firm leaders who share their secrets. Don't just practice law, build a legacy. Listen now to the Lawyer Millionaire wherever you get your podcast. The Lawyer Millionaire podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not intended as legal, tax, or investment advice. Listeners should consult with a qualified professional before making any financial or business decisions. The views expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of Darren Wurz or Lawyer Millionaire Wealth Advisors.